So tonight's first business that we're going to introduce you to, the name of the company is Pharmagreen. Pharmagreen is Canadian-based. We have the CEO and founder here, Peter Wojcik. Did I get it right? Yes, I did. Come on up, Peter.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for the Wrazel team for putting this together and giving me this opportunity to speak.
Here.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you again for everyone coming and introducing, and I'd like to introduce you my company, which is Pharmagreen Biotech, Inc. We're a Nevada domiciled company with 100% wholly owned subsidiary operating in British Columbia, Canada. We're very unique in the cannabis space, is that we're highly tech advanced and we don't compete with the growers. We basically complement them and we help their bottom line in terms of being highly productive. How do we do that? Well, it's basically what we're specializing in is in the production of tissue cultured plantlets. As you know, in the industry, you've got to start with something. Most growers don't really start from seed in repeat operations. They either use clones for the starter material, whereas tissue culture is more scientific approach, and not a lot of the growers actually get into the aspect of it. What we're building is one of the largest and most advanced tissue culture facilities in North America. It's about 63,000 square feet in size. It's currently have gone last year under a lot of the regulations and have gone through. Why is our business so special to them? Well, first of all, as you know, if you're a grower, you dedicate about 20% of your space to the initial startup plantlets to start the operations. If you don't have to do that, you can turn that 20% into actually revenue rooms. And what is the other positive aspects of having a supplier supply you these plantlets? Well, most importantly, done from tissue culture, as a company, supply company, will guarantee no bugs, no diseases, and most importantly, no genetic drift. You saw some of the very large companies like Canopy Growth, Aurora, that, you know, square feet wise, well over a million. They already experienced those issues when the starter plantlets are made from clones. Is the genetics get weak, they're more susceptible to bugs and diseases. Health Canada came in, wrote off 100,000 square feet of grow space, and it's a $20 million write-off. So having the ability of a company like us, and what makes us unique, tissue culture can be made, but produce a facility that can do 1 million plantlets per month. And now you're talking, not very many people can actually do that. You know, there's different aspects of research that's required, as well as expertise, which we have within our company. We've developed the protocols for the tissue culture. It takes 6 to 9 months to develop each one. And, you know, there's over 12,000 different strains, and each of the strains actually reacts differently. Some of the other special things to note for the growers, what they can do is what we call the cultivation cycle. You know, a lot of the growers might run their cycles through 4 or 5 months, basically growing the plant bigger. And in our opinion is only reason they do that as well because the ability to start within a large commercial scale to have such a supply of the starter plantlets. So growing them bigger is it basically allows them to start with less plantlets. But every day that the plant grows, every day the plant is more susceptible, whether to be to the environmental conditions. You know, things are great when they're shiny and new. Give it 2 years of operations and your equipment will start showing you. And the next one will be better for the growers. You know how it is. So this is, and most important, as I mentioned, is the genetic drift aspect, where if you start with tissue cultured plantlet, you'll produce consistent quality of these plantlets. And this is what the pharma world is looking as well, is to have the supply of the cannabinoids that's produced in a consistent way. So some of the other things that are brand new to the industry that we're actually building, tissue culture is one of them, but we're also, what we provide to the growers, not only do we say, listen, here's the starter plantlets, however big you are, whether you need 1 million per month or 10,000 a month, but we also give them the cultivating schedule. So we'll sell you the plantlets of the particular strain, but we'll also teach him how to properly grow it, whether he's a dirt grower, hydroponics grower. So we're actually inside our facility, we'll be mimicking the growing conditions of the grower so we can dial in and basically take the guesswork out of growing. The other important technology that we're actually bringing to the industry as well, what we call is the cold storage of tissue cultures. How do you store a plant strain? Well, you basically have the seed, or you keep the mother plant alive. Mother plants get old just like humans and are susceptible to diseases and bugs, as I mentioned. Putting tissue culture in a cold storage type environment, we can indefinitely preserve the strain. And this is, I think, something we've been contacted by a lot of the large growers and with these specialty strains, and they really would like to see the service go live sooner rather than later, so we can just be that preservation of plant species. And by the way, this just doesn't apply to cannabis industry only. You see what's going on with the environmental conditions around the planet. So this technology can be used to preserve any plant species. And by the way, we're building our facility so it's recession-proof as well. In the sense of what I mean by that is we can produce any plant species, not just cannabis as well. So what we're really specializing is right now, we developed a proprietary strain. We call it CBD Dana, average 15% CBD. We're doing tests all across Canada with farmers this year, and the strain is proven to be very well acclimatized for the North American market. And what our model is really is now we're starting to teach farmers, forget about growing for high CBD using from seed. You know, from seed, you can have still the genetics aren't stable. Some of the new strains on the market actually go hot, with, but that they actually will turn into marijuana with over 0.3% THC that we found as well. High CBD hemp growing from all female starter plantlets is a phenomenal revenue model for those interested in growing for high CBD. Our calculations are based on the biomass. All flower tops is about $300 a pound on the market. Traditional biomass is about $3 per pound times percentage of CBD. You take a 10% strain, that's $30. You take a, produced all flower tops only, you can look at the market for around $300 a pound, which can be in upwards of $500,000 per acre. So why do you need to farm 2,000 acres when you can have a much more productive revenue model in 20 acres? So this is our model, selling the plantlets to commercial grows. We also have a lot of technologies that we acquired with our experience over the last 10 years, which we actually plan to do formulations from the high CBD and very clean, call it biomass flower tops that's produced in this method. It's not done in a mass scale where it's dried on the ground, a lot of contaminations from microbials, fungicides and pesticides. Especially in the Canadian market, Health Canada is very due diligence about any contamination not being allowed in the product. If you do have contamination, you're turning your CBD into isolate, basically distillation and purification, because we're just not going to pass the COA tests. We also plan to come to California as well. That's our secondary market, aside from BC. This facility in BC will serve as a footprint for our global expansion as we go. As you all know, California is one of the top 5 economies in the world. Your population is that of Canada, and I can't wait to get here. Some of our competitive landscape where we are here in California is a company that's early stages, Meristematic, Segra. They're newer, nowhere near advanced that we are in Canada as well. So we're more on the focus of being a support company for the grow industry and supply to companies like Aurora and Canopy Growth. To introduce you to the team, standing in the picture, that's myself, Peter Wojcik. I have over 10 years experience. I come from a medical family background. I still on a philanthropic effort do formulations for stage 4 cancer individuals as well as those in debilitating pain. We have a high degree of success in terms of figuring out dosages to efficacy and the application between THC and CBD. That will be the last stage kind of my company's growth. Terry Kwan, my CFO, 4 decades experience in public company markets. As we are a public company, his experience is very much appreciated. The big driving force behind my company is Dr. Fazia Afrine. She's really a gem on an international level. Her level of experience, she taught PhD graduate students at the University of Chiba in Japan, everything from indoor cultivation to tissue culture, CO2 augmentation. She actually holds 3 patents. She published international articles as well. One of the patents is actually substrate use in tissue culture. We also have advisory board of cardiologists that just joined my team as well as we move the company forward. Our sales for this year, 2019, we did about 30,000 plantlets for the pilot project across Canada. Out of the pilot project, it's going so successfully well. We have orders for well over 2 million plantlets next year. We plan to supply about 250,000 until our main facility is built. Proprietary technology, the engineering of the facility, what we call of the tissue culture, one directional flow to eliminate any contamination. You've got to be self-insured company at those levels. Any contamination with 5 million plants at your facility at $5 a piece value, that's a $25 million write-off. We also have site control, cannabis license with Health Canada. We've advanced quite far, and we've recently, because of our research, got support from the Ministry of Agriculture in British Columbia as well. Our revenue model is $10 per plantlet. At fully loaded capacity, we can do 180 million per year with a gross profit margin of 80 to 90 million. So I think that really puts us above the crowd in terms of the cannabis space and some of the different companies that are involved in this sector as well. Thank you, everyone. That's my presentation for now. I look forward to speaking.
Great job, Peter.